Hi everybody. Doing my best to figure out how to lay down a video for Instagram. So this is my first attempt. I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming eclipse that's happening on Wednesday. It's happening at 5 degrees of Sagittarius. It's a full lunar eclipse. 6 degrees of Sagittarius, I believe. And it's happening at about 7 o'clock and 14 minutes a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, this eclipse is going to be an interesting one. It's happening on the south node of the moon. For those of you who know a bit about astrology, eclipses always happen with the nodal axis. That's how they happen. Because when the nodes of the moon line up perfectly with the eclipse, the moon and the sun come into alignment with the earth, and it creates just the perfect formation for the earth to block out the light of the sun. So the moon disappears or the sun disappears, depending on if it's a lunar or a solar eclipse. This one is a lunar eclipse, so the moon will disappear early in the morning. You won't notice it in the Eastern Standard Time zone, but you will notice it in Pacific Standard when the eclipse is happening at 4 in the morning. You might notice it there. In any case, the potency of it will be there regardless. So I want to, just for a second, explain to you, if you're unaware, what the nodes of the moon mean. So we all create this reality together as a collective mind field. I like to say a collective minefield because that's kind of what it feels like around here most of the time, especially when the nodes of the moon are concerned. But it's a mind field, okay? It's a field of consciousness, and we're all a part of this field of consciousness. And this reality that we are perceiving is our consciousness going through its evolution, right? We evolve as a collective. Surely we can't all be evolving, you must say. There are so many bad people in the world. They're not evolving. But that's not true. We are all evolving. We are all a collective. There are just so many different parts of the collective, right? There is the back end that's holding on to the past and doesn't want to move. There's the front end that's way ahead of everybody. And then there's everybody in between. It's like a wave that keeps moving, or a spiral that keeps turning. And the nodes of the moon connotate, on a very basic level, the evolutionary story or the evolutionary arc that we are as a collective moving through. The nodes change every year and a half. They moved into Sagittarius at the south and Gemini at the north last June 2020. And they will remain until, I believe, the end of this year. I don't know exactly when they shift. I think it is close into 2022, however. I'll confirm that. Very important. So let me describe a little bit about what the karmic pattern is with a south node in Sag and a north node in Gemini. See, the south node is kind of like the pattern that we are evolving, and the north node is the pattern that we're moving toward. So there's like a bit of like it's not a brokenness. It's certain, nothing is ever broken, but with the south node, it seems to be that there is like a magnetization to shadow, or that there is a way that we are doing reparation to the archetypal structure in the collective that's associated with the south node, okay? And that the remedy for that archetypal structure, or that reparation that is wanting to happen, the healing that is wanting to happen, or the resolution that is wanting to happen, is reflected in the north node of the moon. So it tends to work like that, but of course that's a very, very simplistic black and white way of looking at it. I like to think of it as an organic whole. I like to think of the south and the north as one archetypal impulse within which we are spinning our consciousness, within which we are weaving the tale of our reality at any one time. So let me just describe Sagittarius for a minute. As a South Node impulse, what are the things that we are bumping up against in ourselves that may require reparation or repair? Sagittarius is the archetype of higher truth, okay? At its best, it is the highest truth, which is the divine light and the source of all that is. It's that higher wisdom, the holy grail, that ultimate knowing. In esoteric astrology, it represents the third eye, the all-seeing, that part of us which basically lifts up above the fray and looks down upon it. So in a shadow quality, the Sagittarius archetype represents that part of us that thinks it knows the truth, that part of us that believes it knows what is true. Just think about that for a second. If you believe you know what is true, what does that make you? God? What do you really know? Do you really believe that you know it? How do you know it? When you think you know something and then you try to prove it to someone else, that breeds self-righteousness, doesn't it? And oftentimes belligerence, narcissism, and in extreme cases, it breeds cruelty, doesn't it? It breeds anger and violence and criticism and abuse, right? Narcissistic abuse is seemingly rampant. I mean, it's unbelievable when you go on the internet or onto Facebook or onto any of these social media platforms and you read the comments that people make and the cruelty with which people talk to each other when they believe they're right. I'm right. If I'm right, you're wrong. If I'm right, that means you're nothing because I'm right. And why would I even bother to give you the time of day? You're pathetic. You make me sick. I'm going to tell you what's the truth, and you're going to listen to me because I'm right. Doesn't that hurt? It hurts me. It's just disturbing, but we all have it in us. We all carry that shadow, right? We all carry that shadow. Whether you're a parent and you know what is right for your child and you're going to show them, whether you are in a relationship and you know what is right and what is the truth and you're going to tell your partner and blame them for not knowing or for being less than because they don't know your truth, whether you're a religion, whether you're a country, whether you're the head of a country, Israel, Palestine, anything. There's always this dichotomy or this holy war that we want to advocate for, that we want to believe in, because there's a part of us that wants to believe always that it knows, right? It makes us feel secure. It makes us feel important. It's the professor at the front of the room, right, lecturing to 300 undergrads. Boy, does he ever feel good. He's so important. But there's a limitation to that, because how many truths are there on the planet? How many billion of us are there here now? Can any one of us really lay claim to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth? So help us God. Really, no, we can't, can we? We know ourselves. We know our vantage point. We know our truth. And we're perfectly capable of sharing it. But the problem is when we don't acknowledge that other people have one as well. And when we narrowly define our reality based on an emotional belief that we have to hold on and justify what we are, otherwise what we are will not be worth anything. And I believe that the Gemini North Node is asking for us to accept the fact that we can be ourselves, we can have a truth, and we can know it. And we can also open up and listen with an open mind and an open heart to the truth of another. And that's in the collaboration or in the connection that we learn, right? That we learn. And learning is about expanding. And learning is about innocence. And learning is about that childlike ability to be curious and to let yourself go beyond your truth, and to possibly become illuminated by allowing yourself to explore the truth of another, and to stay open and innocent and creative and collaborative within that connection, right? To not stay dogmatic or justified or ego-filled within the truth that you believe is true. And so this Gemini also has a few other meanings. Gemini represents facts. Gemini represents information or small bits of information. It represents didactic thinking and reasonable analysis. When we think we know the truth, but we just know it, and we don't prove it using facts and reasonable analysis, the truth is suspect, isn't it? And we believe it perhaps because other people we know believe it, but is it real, right? And so the Gemini North Node is asking to get more in touch with other perspectives and other information, or to do our research more carefully, or to look deeper, or to respect experts and listen to them carefully, to look at all sides of the story and not stay siloed in one or the other. And the nodal axis is in the hot seat during the eclipses. This is when the nodal axis is at its most impactful state of learning and transformation in the collective. So when an eclipse happens at the south node, we're having an activation of our Sagittarius shadow. Okay, when the eclipse will be at the north node, at the new moon of Gemini, in a couple of weeks, we will be having an activation of the resolution point of Gemini. So this Wednesday, what the opening is, or what the invitation may be, and it'll be different for each of us, but for I think in an overall way, for the collective, it will be to see the places where we are fixated or stuck in our own dogmatism, in our own inability to go beyond what we believe, and in our own ego, right? In our own belligerent, narcissistic, egoic belief that we're right. 100%, that's it. Like, why do we have to hold on to that? Where in your life are you holding on to that? Where in your life are you not listening? This is kind of an opportunity to face into the shadow of that, and to ask yourself some deep questions about what the truth means to you, why you think you know, and whether or not you're right. Take a look at the shadow, take a look at what you are. Don't be judgmental on yourself. Just accept that there is a transformative evolutionary current that is available if you choose to step into it and allow it to transform you. You may be surprised at what's on the other side when the new moon of Gemini rolls around. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I love you. Bye.